This is Alexander Haig. Now, as far as generals go, this guy was absolutely no slouch. He was the Vice Chief of Staff of the US Army and the Supreme Allied Commander in charge of all US and NATO forces in Europe. He served in Vietnam and Korea. He's the kind of guy you want to have at your side when there's a crisis. And that's exactly what he did for Richard Nixon. He was the Chief of Staff for Richard Nixon between May 1973 and September 1974. That's the height of the Watergate crisis. Many people saw Haig as the acting president, making sure the wheels of government kept rolling as the president was consumed by the Watergate scandal. Haig was there when the vice president, disgraced Spiro Agnew, had to resign, and when Gerald Ford replaced him in October 1973. Then, in July 1974, Haig was the one who told Nixon about the release of the Oval Office tapes that were really devastating for Nixon. He told Nixon, "I just don't see how we can survive this one." Nixon replied that he had decided to resign and asked Haig to tell Gerald Ford that he may have to assume power within a few days. Haig did just that, even laying out options for Gerald Ford about whether to pardon or not Richard Nixon should he become the president. Now, it's 2017, and another general is the Chief of Staff at the White House. This time, it's John Kelly. John Kelly seems to be running the shop in the spirit of Alex Haig. Since he took over in July 31, he said goodbye to Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. He's also fired Stephen Bannon, and that's a really important one because of Stephen Bannon's alt-right leanings and connections to the Mercer family. Plus, he's also gotten rid of Eric Prince, or so it seems. He was the guy who was proposing a private army take over the war in Afghanistan. So what's next? Can President Trump really survive without the team that brought him to power? And what about Mike Pence? Will he be our Gerald Ford or our Spiro Agnew? Pence has already curtailed his schedule and recently had to cut short a trip to Latin America for reasons that are really unknown, although he claimed he had to come back for a meeting about Afghanistan. We'll see what happens. One thing's for sure, this scandal is moving way quicker than Watergate, as it should, because of its sheer magnitude. Another thing's for sure, history may be soon repeating itself.